Hello, welcome to Reimagine FinCrime. I am your host, Guðmundur Kristjánsson, usually called GK. I'm the founder and CEO of Lucinity. Today, we're diving into critical roles of humans and AI in financial crime investigations. Joining me is Nicholas Joseph, a seasoned compliance executive with over 25 years of experience in government, risk, and compliance. Nicholas, it's great to have you here with me today.
GK, really honored to be invited to do this podcast today.
Fantastic. So let's just dive straight into it. So, Nicholas, financial crime is becoming increasingly sophisticated. From your experience, what is the biggest challenge investigators face today?
I think there's a couple of issues which we kind of face. I think the first thing is the data overload and information silos. And I think this is caused by legacy technology systems. So when investigators, be it for AML or sanctions, are looking for information, they have to sometimes log into 3 and 4 different systems to pull the information. I think the other thing they're looking at is just the volume of work they're getting. You know, criminals are really smart. They're trying to launder their money. Means more AML and sanctions alerts, which mean more work for the various AML teams. And I think the final thing, the problems and the issues which we're facing is kind of increased regulatory scrutiny. Mm-hmm. Only last week, TD Bank in the US, the 10th largest bank in the US, they got fined $3 billion for AML failures. The year before, Binance, crypto company, got fined $4 billion in the US. And even in the UK, where I currently work, Starling Bank a couple of weeks ago got fined 29 million. So I think those 3 issues and regulatory oversight and regulatory scrutiny is causing us to have, these are the challenges which we face at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree. And when I see actually fines like this handed out, I see also in general the environment around the world. They just tune up the rules, so the human will start to have more to do and more to investigate, etc. And of course, you know, like you say, the criminals are getting more sophisticated by the day. But it feels like, you know, we are often left with the same tools as we were we were using a few years ago, you know, with disparate systems, etc. Given, you know, the challenges that you talked about, why do you think AI is not just beneficial but essential for financial crime investigators now more than ever?
I think that's a really good question. And I think it comes down to the amount of data which we have to sift in. And I know everyone refers to AML, so I'm going to kind of pivot and go to sanctions. If you think about how difficult it is to do sanctions investigations these days, it's no longer name list screening. It's really diving deeper into the information, and the information is just not all in one space. Mm-hmm. It's not only spread out across the whole of the organization, it's spread out across the internet, and you've got to find it. I call it like finding a needle in a haystack. And I kind of think this is where AI can really help us. It can do that kind of quick data pool, searching multiple databases, which will take a human being or multiple human beings hours or days to do. So it's about that speed. It's about the efficiency of searching various databases, not only in English, but also in different languages. So I kind of look at it as the ability to search and analyze fast data sets quicker than a human being can do it. I think it also looks for patterns. If you can train the AI system up, you can help it identify some of the patterns which just a human being just wouldn't be able to make the connections.
Yeah, that's so interesting because you know I have been in the search space for probably 15 years or something like that, and this reminds me of actually a story where when first it was legally admissible in court in the US to actually have email search. And you know, now, for example, in AML and sanctions zone, there's a kind of a expectation that you do the first pass with technology and then the second pass with human. But that study back in, I think it was about 2003, found that lawyers were 23% accurate in reading through email, actually, to identify a few keywords. So what I'm hearing from you is that you are envisioning a kind of new role of humans where humans are more in kind of like a quality assurance role more than allowing technology to do what the technology is so good at, which is consistency. Yeah. This is really finding and interpreting vast amount of data with some deterministic rules, or actually with the context of what the human being is looking at. So do you think that the role of a kind of the analyst that is doing the sanction screening, doing AML review and investigation will change over the next few years?
I think it will. And look, I think everybody's, if you read in newspapers, everybody thinks AI is going to take everybody's job. I don't think that's really the case. I kind of look at this new technology. I've been around for a few years. I've seen RegTech, I've seen machine learning, and now I've seen AI. Yeah. And I think the role of AI is going to be a value add. It's going to remove that repetitive work, that kind of data searching, which human beings currently do. And, you walk into any bank and they have hundreds of people doing level 1, level 2, levels 3s. So I kind of look at AI as removing the repetitive work, helping the analysts get to a decision quicker. But you're always going to need analysts. You're always going to need human beings, because at the end of the day, computers can only learn what you teach them, but intuition, it's not going to be able to do that. It may do that in the future, but it won't do that currently today. And it won't take away one of the most common things people use, the gut feelings, the common sense. Does it make sense? Does this feel right? Should I do a bit more digging? So I kind of think if you look at all of that, but you also look at the contextual environment, what is the risk appetite of my company? What's the reputational risks as well? And I think an AI system just can't do that at this moment in time. I'm not saying it won't be able to do that in 2, 5, 10 years time. Mm-hmm. But in the here and now, it won't take away people's jobs. It will move the role of the compliance professional to make them really focus on where they can add value and do the more interesting work, making the decisions which help business make the right decision.
So when we look at cost of compliance in the world, we're seeing this human in the loop that you talk about, that some people are afraid of, that AI will just eliminate it. We're seeing about $350 billion being spent on financial crime prevention every year, 150 billion in the human in the loop. So you feel like that humans will not be eliminated from that, but what can you go a little bit deeper into some of the examples of where humans are absolutely necessary in the process?
I think there's the first part. I think it's the strategic analysis. It's really getting down and understanding who the client is. I think it's also the checking, the fact that regulators do not want a computer to make a decision at the end of the day. They want to see that human element into it. And so I kind of think it's going to be, if you look at level 1, level 2, level 3s in either an AML or sanctions perspective, you can see a computer, an AI system doing the level 1s. The triaging, is this alert something which we need to investigate further? And then does it go to a level 2? Does it go to level 3, the SAR filing, for example? So I kind of think, again, if you focus on the SAR filing, I know lots of people talk about having automated SARs. I don't think the regulators are comfortable seeing a copy and paste by a computer of why this is of concern. I think they want to see the context. They want to see that somebody's looked at this and made a decision based on suspicion that there is a need to file a SAR or an STR. So I kind of see those are the two areas which really we still have human added involvement, which also adds the context.
Understood. So basically, what you're envisioning is that the AI system will, review the AI generated alerts, valid, and the human is really validating as almost like a quality assurance, like checking whether or not the AI is on the right path, and using this gut reaction to move into a deeper investigation if needed. So in order to ensure compliance and regulatory alignment, what things do you need to think about when you're moving into a future like that?
I think with terms of regulatory environment alignment, I think you've got to get the regulators really comfortable with what you're doing. I remember when machine learning first kicked off a couple of years ago, and there was this whole notion of a black box solution, alerts being cleared, level 1, level 2s, and level 3s, and even they might not have even got to level 3. But when the regulators asked, how is the machine doing this? No one could really explain to them how it was done. So I think everyone's moved away from now black box solutions. I think with AI, no one's going to go to the regulators and say, trust the computer, we've trained it. It's going to, and so part of it is about bringing the regulators along with us. And I think if you try and bring them along and say, look, we're going to do level 1, level 2, level 3 by AI, and we're going to cut costs, but it's going to make us more efficient, I think the regulators are just going to take a step back and say, no. So I call these kind of things baby steps. I think you've got to help the regulator and demonstrate to the regulator that you've started from one part of the process and you're comfortable and they're comfortable with that part of the process. And once they are comfortable with that first part of the process, you take them to the second part. So part of it's education, part of it's working with them as well. Because look, everyone's talking about AI, everyone's talking about the benefits of AI, but do people really understand how it works? And I think there's a education not only for the people working in financial crime and compliance, but it's also a need to help the regulators understand what AI can do, what it can't do, and where the human AI interface is.
So, you're talking about quite AI is very technical, as you know. Do you think compliance professionals need to almost become tech expert to thrive in the new environment?
No, it's a bit like if you look at where AI is being used at the moment in the legal world. So I think I read something in the FT last week that AI is helping junior lawyers pull information, saving 3 hours of work. And, some of these junior lawyers are being paid hundreds of hours an hour, charging their clients hundreds of pounds an hour. Now, do the lawyers need to understand AI and how it works? No, they're just using a product. And I think certain people just need to know that there's a product and it's being collected by AI. I think the more senior you become, when you become the MLROs or the head of AML, I think you need to understand about technology. And technology these days, we're all talking about AI. You've got to understand how you can use it. And one of the things I've been doing, and I would encourage other people to do, is to go out and talk to different people, see what's out there. You do not need to be an expert in AI. I am not an expert in AI, but I understand how technology can potentially help me do my job better, but also help my team do their job better. So do I need to be a technology AI expert? No. Do I need to understand what's out there technology-wise? Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more, because also, when we are looking here at the AI and Lucidity and my team, we're always seeing that AI is also starting to be better and better at explaining itself. And I think that is kind of, if you think about how the human brain works, we're not expecting everyone on the floor of financial crime investigations to really do a model testing on each and every person, but we are expected to document and have an audit trail of what was the thought process. And I think that AI really enables the compliance professionals now more than ever, and will do that more over the next few years, in really starting to be like a companion of the compliance officer, so that the compliance officer can finally have a tool to have a break in the fight against financial crime. So
I couldn't agree with you more, GK. I kind of look at AI and the uses of AI as it evolves over the next 2, 5, 10 years as our partner.
Yeah.
It's a bit like ChatGPT and Copilot. It's a Copilot. It's there to help you. It's there to assist you. It's there to make you smarter in the way you tackle financial crime, because financial crime is not going away anytime soon. But we just need to be better at identifying it and stopping it.
I agree, and with I think that one of the opportunities that are often overlooked is how consistent this technology is. Actually, more consistent than the human, and with consistency in review, etc. Then there's a lot of new opportunity that arises for the analysts and the investigators, etc., etc. What new opportunities do you think that AI is creating for professionals in the compliance and financial crime ecosystem?
I think it's going to give people the opportunity to upskill. And why do I say that? I look at some of the banks, some of the crypto companies. They've all got departments now called compliance technology departments. These are people who are dedicated to the compliance function to help them implement new technology, including AI. And I think for people who are really interested in AI technology and they understand compliance, I can see them moving into those areas to help the technologists design the systems that we need to fight financial crime. I can also see people, maybe more senior people, who are doing transformation roles as well. And when we talk about transformation, we're always talking about new processes or setting up a new AML transaction monitoring or sanction screening tools. But I kind of think those individuals as well will find opportunities in the transformation roles where they can work with technology teams and become experts in implementing new technologies in the compliance world. So I kind of see AI helping compliance professional upskill, focus more on the interesting work, not triaging per se, but doing the deep dive, complex investigations, joining the dots up in order to work out, are we dealing with a criminal or is this good?
Yeah, it's almost something like you're describing a future that is very near in time scale. And, I often feel like the lack of tools that compliance professionals have is almost like if you would not be able to search your email box and you would need to browse it. And these new tools that I'm seeing out there, from Lucidity and other providers, homegrown tools, is really, they're all going in a direction that is really assistant, so that you can focus on the key thing. To move us into a little bit different role. So, as an ex-MLRO, what do you think MLROs need? How do they need to change? Is there anything that MLROs needs to really think about in order to transition into an AI-powered compliance?
Well, less of the X. Hopefully, come November, I'll be an MLRO again. I think MLROs tend to view their kind of self-worth when they go into companies is, how big is the function? How many more people can I grow this to? I think what MLROs need to be thinking is, how do I protect myself as sometimes the SMF 17 or as the MLRO or the BSA officer? Mm-hmm. Is it by adding another 100 people into my team? Or is it about being smarter. Now, look, I think you said the fact, we spend $30 billion or pounds each year.
$350 billion.
350 billion. But if you kind of look at it, approximately, according to the UN Drugs and Crime Unit on their website, between $800 million US and $2 trillion US is laundered each year. Now, look, banks and payment companies and crypto companies, we can't just keep on adding people. Banks can't afford it. Nobody can afford it.
A fun fact to interject there. It is estimated that we find with the $350 billion, $35 to $50 billion. So we actually have a negative ROI worldwide on our financial crime effort.
So it's completely inefficient. So you can either do one or two things. You can either continue doing it the same way, getting the same results, or do it in a smarter way. And I think using technology, using AI could help us. Is it going to eliminate everything and help us find everything? No, but it will help the MLROs when they're going to the board saying, we've got this problem, we've got all these AML alerts, we've got all these sanctions alerts, we've got all these investigations to do, and I need another 200 people or 300 people or 400 people. At some point, somebody on the board is going to say, we just can't continue doing this. We have to do it in a different way. So if I was an enlightened MLRO and I faced the same situation and there were tools out there which could help me, I would go to them and say, look, we need to implement new technology, because if we implement this new technology, it's going to cost us X in the first year. But once it's implemented, we can continue running it and upscale it. And as the business grows and as the volume of AML and sanctions alerts grow, and as the sanctions investigations get more complex, instead of me coming to you each year saying, please, sir, can I have some more in terms of bodies? We've got this ability to upscale. So I think that's what the MLROs need to start thinking about. It's not about bodies, human bodies. It's about what technology can I use out there in order to help me achieve what I need to do, protect the bank or protect the financial institution, make sure I fulfill my regulatory obligations, and protect my team as well.
This leads me to think of a question. We often, as vendors, Lucinity, is a vendor where we focus on taking financial crime investigation from hours to minutes with AI, et cetera, et cetera. Is there anything that we as a vendor community kind of need to do to help the MLROs to adapt to the new era?
I think that's a really good question. Here's what I would like the vendors to do. Look, MLROs are generally very busy. They're always busy. They never get time to take a step back and see what's out there. And I've been very fortunate in between jobs, spent some time refreshing, spending some time with my daughter, my son, as they've gone through their universities. But I've also gone out and spoken to lots of different vendors. And look, it's not about, when I go to the vendors, I say, look, I haven't got a job at this moment in time. I might get one in the future, but I'd like to understand what's out there. I like to understand what systems are out there. And I ask the vendors, it's not about the sell. You don't have to go and say, look, do the heavy sell pitch. It's really helping the MLROs understand what's out there, what's possible, what's coming down the train, but also engaging with the MLROs. I always kind of think some of the vendors have come up with a solution and then they go and push the solution. Go and get some of the MLROs to help you, advise you to understand what some of their problems are, because you might think you know what their problems are, but generally you might not know what their problems are, because some of those problems, they don't stand on the stage and say, I've got this problem. So I would talk about it, look at it as an engagement. And it's always difficult. You've got your marketing people wanting to sell a product, but then sometimes vendors should ask what the MLROs want and what will actually help them achieve what they need to achieve.
Interesting. So continuing on the path of MLROs, etc., what do you think is the top things that MLROs need to do to prepare the teams and key stakeholders now to actually be able to thrive in this new era of AI?
I think one of the first things the MLROs need to do is to reassure their teams that by implementing AI, they're not going to get rid of the teams. So there's always that nervousness around, is AI going to replace me? I think part of that is selling the benefits of AI. So look, if I've got I used to run a team in my last company, and we brought people in, fresh graduates, we trained them up to do level 1. And after like 2-3 months, they would come and say to people, I'm really bored of doing this. And I get it. Looking at AML alerts or sanctions alerts and closing them in 10 minutes and doing that repetitively for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, month on, it is boring. It gets really boring, gets really repetitive.
Very exciting for the first like 2 hours.
But yeah, precisely. So what you would actually say to them is say, look, that level 1 stuff, most of it can go. Yes. We can do AI. We'll have people doing QA, checking that what they're kind of closing is correct, what they're sending up to level 2. It's the level 2 investigations. That's where it gets really interesting. So I kind of think you've got to sell it. Like anything in life, if you just say you're going to use this and this is what's going to happen, and you don't sell the benefits to your team gets nervous. So it's about that constant engagement and communication, selling the benefits, letting them see what the benefits are as well, and then taking it forward from there.
Understood. So let's take a little bit of a different approach to it now. What do they need to, or MLROs, what do they need to prepare for the smooth transition into AI when they think about engaging regulators? You know, number one, let's think about this in like now. Let's think about it in maybe 2 years, and do they need to think about anything that is happening in 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think I think a lot of people might be going to the regulators saying we're gonna implement an AI system, which means that we're going to increase efficiency, cut costs, and I think most regulators are standing back and thinking, what is this? I think part of that engagement, the now engagement, is the education piece. A bit like you said with the vendors, it's really the MLROs speaking to the regulators, speaking to the wider communities, whether it's a podcast or webinars, explaining the different potential areas for AI to be used. I think in 5-10 years time, I think the landscape is going to be very different. I think we're going to have different solutions. I think some financial institutions would have been more successful in implementing AI and bringing the regulators along on the journey. And I think that's really important. We always think about bringing the other parts of the organization, financial institutions along with us. But I think that engagement with the regulators is key, because we're both learning at the same time. You know, this is all new to us, and you've got to think they're learning the same things we're learning. We're using it real time in real world solutions. They're not. They're just hearing about it. And I think sometimes you've got to go and demonstrate to the regulators that what you're implementing is the right thing. 10 years, anything can happen in 10 years. Nobody knows where we're going to be 10 years in AI. And I wouldn't want to kind of think too far ahead, but I kind of think in the short and medium term, the job of the MLRO with the regulators is to really bring them on the journey, because we're on this journey. They're on the same journey as us. They're talking to many different financial institutions, coming up with very different AI solutions up there. And then it's about the feedback loop. Look, regulators are never going to tell you, use this system, use that system, but they can share ideas, what they're seeing, what they think is working, the areas of concerns more in general terms. And I think amongst the banks and the financial institutions, we can do a better job helping each other, explaining what's working out there, what's not working, conversations, and making sure we have a kind of coordinated approach with the regulators in telling them and explaining to them what's going on in AI.
Yeah. One of the things that we see here often in Lucinity, so we focus on the investigative and the analyst effect, you know, providing AI to investigate, to analyze, etc. But we also see AI very much and very successfully being used in detection of financial crime, whether or not it's fraud, sanctions, to some extent, AML, etc. But what we see is that just as soon as you actually implement AI in the base of it, the false positive reduction is actually false positives are reduced down, but true positives goes up through the roof, and that actually leads to what we were talking about earlier today, that there will be a era of new tools coming out that is actually assisting the analyst, assisting the investigator, and so on. Looking ahead now, as we start to summarize our talk up, how do you envision collaboration between humans and AI evolving over the next few years?
I kind of go back to what I said earlier about the partnership. And I think there'll be areas where AI can help humans and humans can help AI. I think when we look at it, I think the partnership will deepen over time as the AI tools get better. And I kind of still do think the role of the compliance professional is going to be around that QA, first of all, making sure that AI is doing what you think it's doing and producing the right results. I do think the AI will be seen more for repetitive work and pulling information together, with the human being the value add in the context. And I can't really see that going away anytime soon. Maybe in the future, but in a really distant future, things may change. But in the short to medium term, that's how I see the relationship evolving. And it is a relationship. It's a collaboration. It's a partnership.
Couldn't agree with you more. So, thinking about you're now preparing for your next role in compliance. Yeah. And let's look ahead a few months into the future. What is the top 3 things that you need to prepare for as a chief compliance or MLRO to go into your next board meeting to actually get your organization ready? What are the things that people in the industry should really think about when also managing upwards when it comes to the new era of compliance?
I suppose one of the key things is don't go to the board and say AI is going to solve all our problems. I think a lot of people will automatically go to our boards and say we need to implement AI. I think we've still got a lot to work to do. I think the vendors still have a lot of work to do in order to find the value proposition. So I think for us as compliance professionals, what we should be doing when we go and present to the boards or the risk committees is helping them understand what's out there, because they're reading the same newspapers as us and hearing the same things on TV. AI is going to transform. But I think it's really important for the chief compliance officer or the MLRO or the head of compliance to be really helping to educate the board about what possibilities are out there, but being realistic as well. Saying, look, we're still exploring, we're still trying to understand. Companies are developing new tools. We're testing these tools out sometimes. We're attending industry forums where they're discussing the different tools. So it's more of an education piece. But like I said, the thing you shouldn't really run and do is run and ask for a budget to test out a new AI system when you don't really know whether it's going to work or whether it's the right tool for you.
Understood. What are the key messages that you want our listeners to take away now?
I think the key message is this. Don't be afraid of AI. Don't be afraid of technology. I think we've got to embrace it. I think there's still we're still trying to work out what the value proposition is and what the role of AI is going to be and what the role of humans are going to be. And I would just say, go read, because there's lots of people out there. We don't really know what AI is. We don't really understand what it is. And the more people who are looking at it, testing it, I learned something at one of my former companies, an American company called Fail Fast and Pivot. GE Capital taught me that. And I think it's really good. I think a lot of the AI companies out there, they need to fail fast and pivot. They need to go and find out what's going to work, but what's not going to work as well. So I kind of that's kind of an ask for MLROs, and it's an ask for the technology companies. Keep on producing different tools, and if they don't work, pivot and find something else to do.
Fantastic. So, Nicholas, thank you so much for sharing your experience and insight. It's been a fantastic discussion. To a listener, we hope you find this conversation valuable and thought-provoking. And we at Lucidity are always here to help. We are a vendor that is completely open. If you want to reach out to us, just send an email to hello@lucidity.com or just me personally. My email is gk@lucidity.com. And so on. So thank you again so much, Nicholas, to spending time with us today.
Thank you very much, GK. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.